which we have a witness coming up. We're going to show you even more video. Kurt Haskell and his wife were on the plane with the underwear bomber. They witnessed what a setup it was, how the sharp-dressed man helped get him on the plane. They witnessed how there were the other weird suspects and how the law enforcement didn't want to hear their accounts and they didn't want to admit or release the video cameras that there was a sharp-dressed man. Then later the State Department, that guy Undersecretary Kennedy, had to admit, yeah, he was given the visa waiver, even though he didn't have his ID, even though he didn't even appear to be coherent at the time. A lot of people said he looked drugged up and was let on the plane. Well, none of that matters because everyone who wants to travel will go through the body scanners just as they planned. TSA whole body scanners to replace metal detectors. That is in April 7th, 2009. In a change of plans, the TSA says it will now replace the walk-through metal detectors at airport checkpoints with whole body imaging machines. They're already at 6 airports nationwide. The TSA's plans aren't set in stone, they say, but unless there's an uproar, everyone gets to go through them. Why? Because Michael Chertoff, former head of Homeland Security, has an investment in the body scanner machines and is a lobby for them. And what better lobby than to be in the position to create a hoax, a pretext for putting everyone through the machines and selling them to airports. Great scam. No one seems to be able to figure it out, except our brilliant listeners here. I know you know, but go tell other people, please. Just disgusting. I give you now part 2 of the exclusive INFOWARS interview with Kurt Haskell. I really wish he would have filed that lawsuit, though. That's so disappointing. We really have to hold these people accountable as much as we can. This whole thing is such a hoax. They're trying to shut down our travel. I'm going to stop ranting now. I give you part 2 of that interview. This part is about how it's a government cover-up and a false flag.
Continuing now with our breaking news coverage, new facts on the table tonight about just how hard the father of the alleged Christmas bomber tried to warn U.S. intelligence about his son.
One thing I'd like to point out is that the system worked.
And we're learning tonight more about the suspect. Let's get to Fox News' Andrea Isom. She begins our team coverage. She is live at Metropolitan Airport. Andrea?
As the hours go on, you are right. We are learning more about the suspect, and quite frankly, the details are chilling. The man, the menace, 23-year-old Abdul Mudala of Nigeria. Mudala's despicable actions were all on al-Qaeda's behalf. Sources telling Fox News his instructions were to blow up the plane over U.S. soil.
The intelligence community knew about Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab weeks ago and failed to spread word that would have put him on the no-fly list.
The father of the suspect in the Christmas incident warned U.S. officials in Africa about his son's extremist views.
That a report was prepared and it was sent on to the CIA in Langley, Virginia, CIA headquarters, but it was not disseminated to the wider intelligence community.
Obviously, when you have a father coming in and talking to the embassy about a son who's radicalized, gives the embassy the passport number, the first thing you would think is a very fast effort to see if the person's got a visa and suspend the visa.
One of the things you don't know about is the number of people that we have turned away because their name has been on the watch list or on the no-fly list.
Only my mom could, but not me and my dad, because both me and my dad are on the watch list.
Tough to believe, but 8 years later, we are still talking about connecting the dots and a failure to communicate.
Call for immediate reviews on how this guy got on the plane
and how he was able to get some explosives on the plane. So we got a while to go.
This is a controlled patsy.
Facts are facts. You can have your own opinions, but you can't have your own facts.
When we first took off, I noticed about 10 seats ahead of us to the left-hand side, he had a camcorder, and I didn't think much of it. I thought maybe this was his first flight and was just excited. And then when the actual incident occurred, I looked up, and he was the only one standing and filming the entire thing.
You know, when we're on the plane, I didn't notice anybody filming. My understanding is that there was someone filming, but my view of his seat was blocked by the restroom. He was on the left side of the plane, I was on the right, and between us there was a restroom, so I wouldn't have been able to see him anyway. I know more about the story later on. I initially tried to contact him, the man, shortly after the flight, and I just received an email back from an attorney, you know, and not him. He wouldn't talk to me at all. So that was my initial contact with him. Now, interestingly enough, about 6 months ago, this man contacted me out of the blue. He was going to have a deposition in regards to the trial where prosecutors, FBI agents, and I think some Dutch police or someone, around 10 people were coming to interview him in Holland, where he lives. Holland, not Michigan, Holland, the country, or the Netherlands, if you will. And he called me to talk about it. So I actually got to talk to him. He doesn't speak real good English, but we had a conversation for about an hour. And this is what he told me. He said he was traveling by himself. He had just purchased a video camera of some sort, and he was filming us coming in for a landing. Now, mind you, when this started, we were at an altitude of 20,000 feet. The media reports it was 10,000 feet, but it was 20,000 feet because I know I was watching the seatback monitor when it started. So I'm not sure what exactly you could film that high other than some clouds, but anyway. So he's filming out the window, heard a commotion, he turned and started filming. He said he had video of the incident. He also said he had still pictures of the man in orange, who was the man taken into custody after we landed. He told me that the video was seized by the FBI after landing, and that he still had the still pictures of the man in orange. So I asked him to forward me copies so I could verify that it was the same man, and just for me to look at too. And he asked me why I wanted those, and I said for my own personal interest, and he said, I don't trust that you won't put them on the internet. I'm going to keep them for my own personal safety. Make of that what you will. I don't know. That's his statement. He didn't seem to be anything other than what he's claiming. From what I could tell, he didn't seem to be lying to me, but you know, make up your own mind whether that story's credible or not. The video has never been released. No video of anything in this case has been released to anyone other than the prosecutors, the judge, and the underwear bomber himself. There is a protective order in the case indicating that any attorney involved in the case cannot speak about what evidence there is. I have a suspicion that Anthony Chambers has some of the videos, maybe not the video on the plane, but I have a strong suspicion that he has the airport security video from Amsterdam. There's never been any picture or video of the underwear bomber released going through security or at the airport or anything. He didn't go through security. He was escorted around security. And actually, shortly after this incident, there was an article. It's from the Herald Scotland, December 28th, 2009, and this is a really important article, and this is the only paper to ever report on this, and nobody talks about it. For this one sentence. The military police have already said Abdul Muttalib did not go through passport control at Schiphol when he arrived from Lagos. Okay, they admit he didn't go through passport control, but what they don't tell you here is that passport control and security are in the same line at Schiphol. So if you're not going through passport control, you're not going through security. So there's an omission here. Abdul Muttalib not only did not have his passport checked, but he didn't go through security at all. They leave out the fact that he was escorted, but obviously this is the reason no one else is reporting on this article or talking about it. But again, here we have an admission. The underwear bomber did not go through passport control at Schiphol Airport, and passport control is the same line as security, so therefore 2 + 2 means he didn't go through security. So he didn't go through security. So therefore, there are no pictures possible of him going through security because he didn't go through it. The FBI contacted Lori and I on December 28th, 2009. So 3 days after this happened, they visited our office here in Detroit, south of Detroit. The first thing I asked them was, hey, you know, I can help you in the investigation. I saw the accomplice at the Amsterdam airport. Wouldn't it be wise to show me the video from the airport or some still pictures so I can identify him? And the two agents, and they're two different agents this time, they kind of did like a half head turn near each other and kind of did like a chuckle under their breath. And that was right at the start of the interview, and it raised red flags with me right away. There was no response to, you know, we don't have the video at this time, or we don't think you should see it. Nothing. No response at all. They then proceeded to ask me the story again, which I told them the story again. They showed me a series of around 10 pictures, and I looked through them. The first 8, I said, I have no idea who these people are. The next 2 were of the underwear bomber, and I got the impression that they were trying to confuse me to destroy my credibility, maybe? I don't know. It was rather strange, but none of the man in orange and none of the man in tan suit that escorted the bomber at the Amsterdam airport, so it's kind of strange. Pretty early on, within a few days anyway, that there was something really weird going on, maybe a cover-up, because, you know, I had the FBI agents come to my office on December 28th, not even wanting to talk about the man in the tan suit that helped the bomber at Schiphol Airport, which to me was a huge red flag, because as far as I know, myself and only one other person saw him. The one other person hasn't been willing to talk about it. So it would make sense that the government would want to talk to the eyewitness and have the eyewitness identify the man. And when they didn't do that, being a lawyer, it started really raising red flags with me, number one. Then number 2, in regards to the man in orange who was taken into custody after we landed, you see, the government couldn't say he didn't exist because he was taken away from a group of all of us passengers, and several other passengers saw this, so they had to lie and cover up who he was. They couldn't say he didn't exist like they tried to do with the man in tan suit. So they started telling lies about this man. First of all, they said he didn't exist, and that didn't fly because several passengers saw him. It wasn't just me this time. You know, and then they told 5 other lies.
After we had been there for about an hour, all the time with our carry-on bags, 3 bomb-sniffing dogs were brought in. One of them sat down by the bag that was brought in by the man in orange. He had an orange. He appeared to be of Indian or Pakistani or some similar descent, maybe around age 30. He was walked back to a room, not in handcuffs. He went in the door. He was in there approximately an hour. When he came out, he was handcuffed, taken away. An FBI officer came up to the group of the rest of us passengers and said the following, which is not exact but close. You're being moved to another area. It's not safe here. I'm sure all of you saw what just happened and can figure out why you're being moved.
We were taken to a customs area, and they brought bomb dogs and checked all the luggage with that. Another person was taken aside